Alex Carter was just 22 when he met Rachel. They were young, starry-eyed college students with dreams bigger than themselves, convinced that they'd defy the odds and be one of those couples who made it through anything. Now, nearly 2 decades later, he was standing in the dim hallway of their quiet suburban home, memories of all they'd built together running through his mind. He'd come home early that Friday, hoping to surprise Rachel with plans for a romantic evening, just the two of them, rekindling what had recently felt like a spark lost. As he entered the house, a strange silence filled the air. The usual sounds were absent, no background music, no television chatter. Alex called out, "Rachel." There was no response, but then he noticed her car in the garage. Confused, he moved toward their bedroom. A strange feeling washed over him, but he pushed it aside, attributing it to stress from work. Walking down the hallway, he thought of how hard he'd worked to create a stable life. As a partner in a reputable accounting firm, he spent most days managing high-profile clients and endless reports. Weekends like this were rare, and he had every intention of savoring each moment with the woman he still adored. But as he reached the bedroom, he paused. A faint whisper of perfume lingered in the air, a scent she only wore on special occasions. Stepping into the room, he saw her. Rachel was sitting at her vanity, carefully applying makeup, dressed in a little black dress with the pearl necklace he'd given her last Christmas. She looked radiant, but her expression was distant. For a moment, Alex was struck by her beauty, until his gaze drifted down to the open overnight bag beside her, half-packed with delicate clothing and weekend essentials. The smile that had begun to form on Alex's face faded. "Rachel. Are we going somewhere?" he asked, his voice steady despite the confusion mounting in his mind. She looked at him through the mirror, pausing as if she hadn't expected him home this early. After a long moment, she finally spoke. "Alex, I didn't want to tell you like this. I have plans this weekend, a date." "A date?" he repeated, his mind spinning, searching for some rational explanation. "Rachel, this doesn't make sense. A date? With someone else? Why?" She sighed, setting down her lipstick with a heavy finality. "Alex, please try to understand. I love you, but I need this time. It's just one weekend. One weekend to feel alive again." The words struck him like a blow. How could she say this so casually? He wanted to shake her out of this strange fog, to remind her of the life they'd built together. But Rachel's gaze remained steady, her expression unreadable, as if this had all been rehearsed. "Since the girls left, I felt like I'm just existing, going through the motions. I'm still the same woman you married, Alex. But I need something different," she said, her voice soft but unyielding. In that moment, Alex felt a crack inside himself. The love of his life, the woman who'd stood by him through everything, was telling him that their life, his love, was somehow not enough. Yet, there was a calmness in her voice, as though she believed this was something he'd eventually come to understand. Forcing himself to respond, Alex cleared his throat. "So, you're just asking me to be okay with this?" Rachel nodded, almost hopeful. "It's only a weekend. I promise I'll come back, and it won't change anything between us." But as Alex stood there, he knew everything was already changing. The moment stretched in silence as Alex processed her words, the weight of them settling heavily in his chest. He wanted to shake her, to snap her out of whatever spell had made her believe that this was okay, that they could somehow return to normal after something like this. But instead, he forced himself to keep his voice steady, his expression unreadable. "So, who is he?" he asked, each word carrying the restrained fury he fought to hold back. Rachel looked down, avoiding his gaze. "His name isn't important. He's just someone I met. He understands what I'm going through. He makes me feel young again." She paused, swallowing hard. "He's married, too, with kids, and he's not leaving his wife. It's just an escape. That's all." "An escape?" Alex repeated, his tone sharp. "From what, Rachel? A life that we built together? A marriage that we've spent nearly 20 years nurturing?" He shook his head, disbelief evident on his face. Rachel flinched but held her ground. "It's not about you, Alex. I just need this. Just once. Can't you understand?" He stood there, feeling a wave of emotions crash over him. Anger, disbelief, betrayal, heartbreak, and something else, a dark, twisted clarity. He saw her looking at him with a slight desperation, perhaps hoping he'd give her his blessing or, at the very least, a quiet acceptance. Instead, he forced a calmness over himself, a steely resolve settling into his bones. "All right," he said finally, his tone so controlled it surprised even him. "If this is how you want it, fine, but you leave your phone on. I want to be able to reach you if there's an emergency." His words came out flat, almost mechanical, as if he were talking about an impersonal matter. Rachel hesitated, taken aback by his composed response. "Alex, I didn't expect you to be so understanding." He offered a cold, humorless smile. "Believe me, I'm not." He paused, adding quietly, "But I won't stop you." With that, he turned and left the room, refusing to give her the satisfaction of seeing him break. As Alex walked down the hallway toward his home office, his mind spun, emotions colliding and crashing like a storm. This wasn't the woman he had fallen in love with, the woman he'd promised to cherish and protect. His mind flashed back to moments of tenderness between them, moments he thought were sacred. But now, they felt tarnished, like relics from a different lifetime. Sitting in his office, Alex took a deep breath and pulled out his phone. Scrolling through his contacts, he stopped on a familiar name, Samantha Hayes. Samantha had been his assistant years ago, when he was still climbing the ranks. She was smart, funny, and kind, a calming presence in his life during stressful times. But beyond the professional, they'd shared a deep connection, an understanding that had once felt dangerous because of his commitment to Rachel. They had always stayed in touch, in an occasional, friendly way. Without fully processing his actions, Alex dialed her number, his heart pounding as he waited for her to pick up. After a few rings, a soft voice answered on the other end, bringing a rush of memories with it. "Alex?" Samantha's voice was warm and genuine, as if no time had passed since they'd last spoken. "Samantha, hi. It's been a while." He paused, suddenly unsure of what he was doing. But the pain and anger swirled within him, pushing him forward. "I know this is out of the blue, but I could use a friend right now." There was a pause on the line, and he could hear the concern in her voice. "Alex, what happened? Are you all right?" He took a deep breath, and the story poured out in fragments, a raw retelling of the betrayal he was facing. Samantha listened quietly, her silence filled with understanding rather than judgment. When he finally finished, he felt drained, yet somehow lighter, as though sharing the burden had taken some of the weight off his shoulders. "I'm so sorry, Alex," she said softly. "No one deserves to go through that, especially not you." Her words warmed him in a way he hadn't felt in ages. "Thank you, Samantha. Honestly, I don't know what to do. But would you be up for a drink? I could really use some company." There was a pause, and then he heard her gentle laugh, the same one that had always put him at ease. "Of course. Come over to my place. Luke is staying with his grandparents this weekend, so I've got the place to myself. We'll figure it out together." Alex didn't hesitate. Within an hour, he was at her doorstep, greeted by her welcoming smile and open arms. For the first time in weeks, he felt seen, heard, and understood in a way that went beyond words. As they sat together, talking late into the night, Alex found a flicker of hope amidst the ashes of his broken heart. Over the next 2 days, they shared stories, laughter, and quiet moments that felt like stolen treasures. It was a far cry from the life he thought he had with Rachel. But it was real, and it was his. And by the time Sunday rolled around, Alex knew that he couldn't turn back. When he returned home that evening, Rachel's car was already in the garage. The sight of it reminded him of everything they'd lost, everything she'd willingly thrown away. Taking a steadying breath, he walked inside, prepared for the confrontation he knew was inevitable. Rachel stood in the living room, a small, almost shy smile on her face as she looked up at him. "Hi, sweetheart," she said, her tone light, as if this were just another ordinary day. "I knew you'd be here waiting for me." Alex's expression remained unreadable as he stepped closer, crossing his arms. "How was your weekend?" he asked, his voice calm, but laced with an unmistakable edge. Rachel hesitated, her smile faltering. "It was refreshing. I'm the same wife you knew before I left. And you, the best husband, gave me this one little break. I'll make it up to you, Alex, I promise. We'll have our own celebration." Alex shook his head, a bitter smile crossing his face. "So, you just expected me to sit here and wait, then pretend nothing happened?" Rachel's face registered surprise. "Alex, it was just one weekend. It didn't mean anything. I thought you'd understand." "Understand?" he replied, a sharp laugh escaping his lips. "Let me tell you what I did this weekend, Rachel. While you were off with your escape, I reconnected with someone who actually respects me. Samantha and I spent the weekend together. And for the first time in years, I felt like myself. Like I mattered." Rachel's face paled, her bravado cracking as the weight of his words sank in. "You didn't," she whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. "Oh, I did," he replied, his tone unyielding. "I won't be your backup, Rachel. I won't sit here and wait for scraps of love and loyalty. You made your choice when you walked out that door. And now, I'm making mine." Silence filled the room as the finality of his words hung between them. The unspoken truth settling in. For the first time, Rachel looked at him with genuine remorse. The realization of what she had thrown away dawning on her. But Alex was done. He was ready to move forward. Ready to reclaim the happiness he'd once thought was lost. With that, he turned and walked away, leaving behind the ashes of the life they'd once shared. The stillness of the house seemed almost surreal as Alex closed the door to their bedroom, leaving Rachel behind in stunned silence. He could feel the finality of it settle over him like a heavy weight. Yet beneath the hurt and anger, there was a small, steady flicker of relief. He wasn't sure what the future held, but he knew he couldn't go back to a life of betrayal and empty promises. As the days passed, Alex started making arrangements to separate from Rachel. They had built a life together over decades, but now he had to disentangle himself from the woman who had once been his everything. Rachel tried to reach out, her messages swinging between regret and desperation, pleading for one more chance. But each time, Alex kept his responses brief, firm in his decision. The trust had been shattered and there was no repairing it. Meanwhile, Alex's connection with Samantha deepened. What had once been a hesitant reconnection transformed into a steady source of warmth and comfort. Samantha was there for him, not as a rebound or an escape, but as a genuine friend who understood his pain without judgment. She knew him, remembered who he was before life and betrayal had taken their toll. One evening, over coffee in her cozy kitchen, Samantha looked at him with a mixture of compassion and curiosity. "So, what now, Alex? What are you going to do with your life? You deserve happiness. Real happiness." Alex smiled, a real, honest smile. And for the first time, he felt a sense of purpose taking shape. "I'm not entirely sure, Sam, but I do know that I want a life that's built on trust and respect. I want something real." Her gaze softened and she reached out, placing a hand over his. "Then go after that, Alex. Don't settle for anything less." Encouraged by her words, Alex began the process of rebuilding his life. He moved out of his shared home with Rachel and into a modest apartment, focusing on work and on finding stability amidst the change. As the weeks turned into months, he felt his strength returning, piece by piece, bolstered by the genuine friendships he had neglected over the years. Yet, through it all, Samantha was there, an unwavering presence. Their relationship evolved, moving from friendship into something deeper, something that felt honest and rooted in mutual respect. With her, he felt seen, valued and truly appreciated, feelings that had long been missing from his life. Eventually, the divorce was finalized. Rachel's initial anger and resistance had given way to quiet resignation. perhaps realizing the weight of her actions. She even admitted her regret, telling him in one of their last conversations, "I didn't understand what I was risking, Alex. I was selfish and I'll have to live with that. I wish you peace, Rachel." He replied, not out of bitterness, but with genuine forgiveness. He wasn't carrying any anger forward. He was simply ready to let go and move on. Months later, as Alex and Samantha continued to grow closer, they finally acknowledged the feelings that had always simmered between them. They shared their first kiss on a crisp autumn evening, standing beneath the golden leaves, with laughter and warmth in their eyes. It felt natural, like the completion of a long journey. Their relationship blossomed, and together, they forged a new life. They shared the simple joys of cooking together, traveling and meeting each other's friends and families. And Alex felt himself coming back to life in ways he hadn't expected. Samantha's son, Luke, grew close to him as well, seeing in Alex a supportive presence who genuinely cared. 2 years later, Alex and Samantha stood hand in hand at a quiet, intimate wedding surrounded by friends and family who had seen them through their journeys. As they exchanged vows, Alex felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the second chance he'd been given, a chance to live and love fully, without the shadows of the past. In time, he became not only a father figure to Luke, but a supportive husband to Samantha. They welcomed a beautiful daughter into their family, adding new joy and purpose to their lives. Alex's daughters, who had once struggled with the family separation, gradually came to embrace Samantha as well, admiring the kindness and respect she showed to their father. Years later, Alex found himself at a family gathering, watching as his daughter, Emily, prepared to walk down the aisle. Rachel was there, too, accompanied by her new husband, a man who seemed kind and respectful. She approached Alex during a quiet moment, her gaze soft as she offered a small smile. "Thank you, Alex," she said, her voice genuine. "For everything. I'm happy for you. I can see that you've found what you deserve." Alex smiled back, offering a nod of understanding. "And I wish you happiness, too, Rachel. We've both come a long way." As he returned to Samantha's side, he felt a profound sense of peace settle over him. Together, they watched Emily say her vows, surrounded by family, love, and hope for the future. And as he held Samantha's hand, Alex knew that he had found his way to the life he was always meant to have, one built on trust, respect, and true, unwavering love. The years that followed were a testament to the strength of the life Alex and Samantha had built together. Their family grew closer, bound by the love and respect they had carefully nurtured from the start. Alex watched his children thrive, his heart swelling with pride as they each found their way in the world. He supported Emily as she and her husband navigated the early days of their marriage, offering guidance tempered by the hard-won wisdom he'd gained from his own experiences. Kate, too, came to him for advice, finding comfort in his steady presence. Samantha continued to be his rock. Her kindness, empathy, and unshakable honesty grounded him in a way he hadn't known was possible. Together, they celebrated every small victory and faced each challenge as a team, unwavering in their commitment to each other. Their home became a haven, filled with laughter, shared meals, and the kind of warmth that made every day feel meaningful. But Alex's journey didn't end with family. He'd realized through the twists and turns of his life that he was passionate about more than just his career. Motivated by a desire to help others navigate betrayal and heartbreak, he began speaking publicly about his experience, sharing the lessons he'd learned in hopes of offering solace to those going through similar struggles. He spoke at events and even wrote a book on resilience and moving forward, giving a voice to those who felt alone in their pain. This new purpose added a richness to his life he hadn't anticipated. Through his work, he met people from all walks of life who had faced heartbreak and betrayal, and he helped them find strength within themselves. He witnessed others find hope in their own healing journeys, and it gave him immense satisfaction to know that his story had the power to inspire positive change. One day, after a speaking engagement, he received an unexpected message. It was from Rachel. "Alex," her message began, "I've been following your work and I wanted to reach out to say thank you. Watching you use your experiences to help others has shown me the kind of strength I never understood back then. I'm glad you found your path. Her words, though simple, felt sincere. Alex replied, expressing his gratitude and wishing her peace in her own life. It was a quiet moment of closure, a reminder of how far he had come. Any lingering bitterness had long faded, replaced by a deep-seated sense of acceptance. Back home, Alex found Samantha waiting for him, her warm smile filling the room. They sat together in the garden, sipping tea as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the flowers and trees they'd lovingly tended together. Samantha, he said softly, turning to her, I don't know how I got so lucky to have you in my life. You gave me a second chance, and because of you, I found myself again. She reached out, intertwining her fingers with his. You found yourself, Alex. I was just here to remind you of who you are. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sunset, content in the life they had built. The love they shared was quiet but unbreakable, a foundation upon which everything else had been rebuilt. As the sky faded from gold to deep purple, they knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together. And so, surrounded by love and purpose, Alex found peace. He had been through heartache and betrayal, but he had come out stronger, kinder, and more certain of himself than ever. The life he'd rebuilt with Samantha was one of true partnership and unwavering love, the life he had always deserved.